DreAllDay.com.
What up, Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. The story of my first pro basketball exposure camp. This is 2005. I went to this camp in Orlando. It's called InfoSport. And this camp, when I graduated from college in 2004, a couple of my teammates had got invitations from the camp to go and play at the camp. I didn't get an invitation because I didn't even play my senior year of college. You can read about that in my book, Buy a Game. You can read that for free at DreAllDay.com/buy a game. But they got invitations to go play at the camp, and they went to it in 2004. And they was like, Dre, yo, you should go to the camp too. And I was like, no, I'm not going to go because I didn't feel like my game was in the right shape at that time. I hadn't been in game shape. I wasn't working out the way that I wanted to. I was really finishing school. I had a lot of credits. I had like 21 credits my last semester of college. So I was like, no, I don't feel like I'm in the right shape. It'd be a waste of money for me to go down there for a camp that I'm not even physically prepared for. So I worked for a year. I worked at Foot Locker and I worked at this gym called Bally Total Fitness in Philly. So 2005, the camp was coming around again. And one of my two teammates who went the first time, he was like, yo, I'm going to go again. He was like, y'all trying to go? So he had talked to me and I was like, yeah, I'm definitely trying to go. I'm ready to go this year because I knew I wanted to get into pro basketball. Even though I had went and worked for a year at the school, I knew the main thing I wanted to do was play ball. So I was getting ready for that camp. I was working at a gym at the time, so I had the fitness equipment to work out. The gym didn't have a basketball court, so I had a membership to LA Fitness. I'd go to LA Fitness and work on my skills. And at the gym I worked at, Bally Total Fitness, I work on my fitness, on my body, strength training, cardio, all that stuff. I sometimes even bring the ball in there and work on my handle in like the fitness room, like the class group exercise rooms and stuff like that. So I was in good shape. I knew I was ready to go. Me and one of my other teammates who also lived in Philly, we was going to go to Orlando, and we didn't want to fly. We wanted to save some money. So we was like, all right, why don't we just rent a car and drive to Orlando from Philly? And this is like a 19-hour drive from Philly to Orlando. So we decided we was going to do that. We rented a car in Philly. We were supposed to leave like early on like Friday morning. But for whatever reason, everything got delayed. We didn't end up leaving till like 5 p.m. on Friday. We had to drive straight from Philly to Orlando. We didn't even have time to go to the hotel first. We had to go straight from Philly to Orlando, straight to the gym. So we get to the gym. The camp started at 9 a.m. We walked in the gym at like 9:05. We was late for the start of the camp, actually. When we walked in, if any of you ever been to any type of camp, you know, at the beginning of the camp, like they tell everybody gather around and somebody gives a little speech, a little background speech on what's going on and try to give you some motivation or whatever, some background. So the guy who was like the head person of that company, it was called InfoSport at the time. They changed over to a couple other things. I think now the camp that was InfoSport became Better Basketball, but it's not the same company because people from InfoSport actually had hit me up one time and was like, yeah, InfoSport dropped out of the basketball business because we feel like it was no integrity in the business, which is a whole other story. And I absolutely agree with them. But InfoSport doesn't do camps anymore. But Better Basketball pretty much started running camps kind of in the same area with some of the same people, but it's not the same company. I just want to make sure that's clear. So InfoSport was running that camp. So this guy, I think his name was Barry something. I don't remember his last name. He was talking. We walked in. The fee for the camp was like $250. And I had already reached out to the woman who ran the camp, the woman who was running like the registration side. And I said, hey, can I pay you on the spot at the camp? Because I ain't had no credit card at the time. I ain't had no bank account. I used to cash my checks at the check cashing spot. She was like, yeah, you can pay me on the spot. So I had my cash. I paid her $250 in cash right there on the spot. They gave us a t-shirt, like our uniform for the camp. We had one shirt. And then we sat down, listened to this guy talk. And the way the camp went, they actually did start off. I like this camp because they started off with some actual drills, like some assessments so they could see your skills. It wasn't really that they could see everybody because there was too many people for them to really do that. But one thing to doing drills before you just go right into the games does, it gives people a chance to get loose, like get comfortable, do something that's easy for you and simple, so then you kind of warmed up and comfortable before you get into the games. Those camps that they like roll the ball out and they like, all right, just playing games, I don't like those camps. Even when I went to the D-League camp, it was like that. They just threw the ball out and was like, all right, let's just start playing without doing any type of drills or nothing. Not only doesn't give coaches and the scouts and everything a chance to see a player's just basic abilities, you also don't get the players a chance to get warm and get loose in the new environment that you just threw them into. So I don't like those type of camps. So this camp particularly, InfoSport 2005, the drills that we did was real simple. Like we did a layup drill, then we did like this drive to the basket drill. It was 3 lines, and he was like, all right, when you get the ball in line, just go to the basket and finish as explosively as you can. So if all you could do is a layup, make a layup. If you can dunk it. So I'm in there dunking like crazy because I knew at the time, coming out of college, my number one ability was my athleticism. I was one of the most athletic guys out there. So I'm just dunking. And there was one other dude there. He was like 6'5", 6'6" dude. He was the only dude there I saw who was more athletic than me. He was doing dunks even better than mine. I'm like, damn, this is the one dude here who's more athletic than me. So I was watching him the whole time. But it seemed to me like he was kind of like taking it easy a little bit. Even though he was super athletic, he seemed to be taking it easy kind of. And I watched him during the camp. He was even taking it easy during the game. So that was kind of my advantage over him because I was like dunking. I was like pulling out every dunk I had, dunking it as hard as I could because I'm trying to stand out. I'm like, this is my one opportunity right here. Like I'm working at a damn gym selling memberships. If I'm going to get out of that life and get into this new life, I got to do something right now. This is my one opportunity because I ain't got money at the time to be going to a whole bunch of camps. This is basically the only camp I could afford to go to this summer. So I got to do something right here, right now. So we did that dunking drill and that went cool. And then they was like, all right, we're going to split y'all up into y'all teams. They already had the teams organized. I got on the team. Our team had like 9 guys. There's a lot of guys at this camp. It was probably like anywhere from 80 to 100 players at this camp. And there was about 8 teams. So every team had between 8 and 10 players. And then we started doing the games. Now I ain't going to tell you everything that happened in all the games. We played like, I think 4 games, either 4 games or, 4 games. 2 games on the first day on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. So on Saturday, the first game, I remember I started the first game. And at the first few minutes of the game, everybody's getting loose, getting used to it. Me, I usually take a couple minutes just to get loose, get warmed up if I'm not warm already. I wasn't warm already, and I didn't know none of the other guys on the team, except actually my college teammate. Me and him was on the same team actually, but we was never on the court at the same time. So I was in the game. He was on the bench at that point. The first few minutes of the game, I didn't do nothing. I wasn't really a factor in the game, like first 3 minutes or so. Then the coach called timeout, and he drew up a play, whatever. And I had a chance to kind of think to myself, like, Dre, like you spent all the discretionary income you had to come to this camp. This is your one opportunity to make something happen. If you're going to become a basketball player, you got to do something right here. Now, even if you mess up, you at least got to try something. You can't just come out here and be passive and not have any impact on the game. Go do something, try something, make something happen. Whether you do good or do bad, make something happen. Be notable. So we get back on the court. First time I get the ball, I got the ball like on the right wing, like between the top of the key and the wing on the right side. Point guard throw me a pass. I caught it, I jab step hard to the right, and I drove right down the middle of the lane with my left hand. And at the time, back then, I used to jump off 1 foot or off 2 feet, and I've been working on jumping off 2 a lot. Because in college, I always went off 1. I never jumped off 2 that much, but then I realized, like, once I got out of school, I started practicing more by myself. I was like, yo, why don't I start developing the skill to jump off 2 feet in addition to being able to jump off 1 foot? So I drove the lane, I jumped off 2, and I tried to dunk it with my left hand because the way I was driving, I was already going towards my left. So I tried to dunk it with my left hand, and I didn't, and the ball, like, a dude reached up and tried to block it, and he hit me like right here because I was way above his ass. I was about to bang on him with the left. They didn't even call foul. And when he hit my hand, the ball like hit the backboard and went in. So, and it wasn't like that far away. So it looked like kind of like I had made it. The way he hit me, it should have been a foul, but everybody in the crowd was like, oh, because I was way up there. Like I was about to bang on him. So everybody was like, oh, because it was a real athletic type of move. People saw what I was trying to do. Even though I didn't make the dunk, everybody saw what my intention was to dunk it. And on top of that, they saw that I had the capability of dunking it because of how close I came to making that dunk. So everybody in the crowd was like, whoa. So that kind of like built my confidence up. I was loose after that. I was like, yeah, because everybody saw that. So a couple minutes later, and mind you, just at exposure camps, you don't know the dudes you playing with. People just be running around like chickens with their head cut off. Dudes be shooting up wild shots for no reason, forcing up bad shots. So this guard on our team forces up this terrible shot from the corner. He shoots a 3 from the corner. Of course, it doesn't go in. The ball hits the back of the rim, right? So when the ball hits the back of the rim, it bounces up, straight up in the air. So I ran down the middle of the lane. Nobody boxed me out. Now, of course, at these camps, no boxing out happens. People just try to out jump for the rebounds. Shot goes up. That ball's up in the air. I come running down the middle of the lane. And I wasn't, at the time, you don't have time to think about if you're going to try to dunk it or nothing. You just got to react. So I just start running down the lane. I see the ball up there. I know I can get it. So I jump up and I reach for it. You know, we on offense. And I just grabbed it with one hand, like right at the top of the square. And boom, banged it with the right hand. The whole gym just went absolutely bonkers. The gym just goes crazy. And the way this gym is set up is one of those gyms, like if any of you been to an exposure camp, you know sometimes the gym is like, it's 2 games going on at the same time on 2 courts next to each other. So half the people who are not playing, since it's 8 teams, is 2 teams here, 2 teams there. So half the players at the camp are actively playing in the game and half the players are not because they waiting for their game. So, and then with the spectators, half the spectators watching this court and half the spectators watching that court. So maybe you might switch between courts to see what's going on, see who's who. So half the gym is split up. Half the people watching this one, half the people watching us. So when I got that dunk though, people start yelling like, oh, people was going crazy. And this was, if you want to actually see this dunk, you can see it. And that play that I just mentioned, you can see those on my first ever YouTube video. You'll see the clips from this camp. And this is from 2005. After I got that dunk, people in the gym was going crazy. So everybody who was watching the other game left those bleachers and they came over to our court to see like, yo, what happened? Why is everybody yelling? And then the people who saw it, they was all like pointing me out because the game kept going. It wasn't no foul or nothing. I got that tip dunk and the game keeps going. So we running down on defense and people was like, yo, dude right there, I wore number 83 at this camp. And I had braids at the time. So it was like, yo, dude, number 83 with the braids, and they was describing my dunk because I could hear him talking. I could hear the buzz, you know, the buzz in the crowd after somebody makes a super crazy highlight play. The buzz was still going. So people was pointing me out and everybody in the crowd was just going crazy after that dunk. They come down, the other team comes down. The dude that I'm guarding shoots a 3-pointer. And I challenged his shot. He missed the shot. And my guy on defense got the rebound. He outlet it to our point guard. And then he passed it to me because I kind of, after he shot it and he missed, I started running out. So we had transition again. He hit me with a pass. I was about to dunk it again. I was about to go off one and dunk it with 2 hands, like an easy joint because it wasn't even along. They wasn't even back on defense. They had one guy back. So then when I go up for the 2-hand dunk off 1 foot, the dude who did get back, he tried to reach up and block it. He hit me on the top of my head. And I didn't dunk it. I just laid it in because he had fouled me again. They ain't called foul again. But I scored. So I had scored basically like 3 points straight. And they was all at the rim and they was all athletic finishes. So at that point, those 3 plays at that camp, those was another one of those moments. Like the same thing I talked about in the high school tryouts video. When I had that one block, that was the moment that everybody noticed me, or the coach, the person who mattered, noticed me. At that camp, that first game, when I got that dunk and that aggressive drive and then that layup finish, and then a few plays later, I did actually get a dunk. We got another breakaway, and my point guard, same point guard, hit me with a nice behind the back pass, and I went up and dunked it with 2 hands, like real easily. I made it look real easy. After that game, one of the scouts came up to me. He was like, yo, he was asking me all these questions like, yo, where'd you play? How old are you? You know, where you at right now? What you looking to do in your career? He started telling me who he was working for and all that. So that was another one of those moments. In all these camps, whenever it's so many people out there, you can be consistently good over a long period of time. It might take longer for people to notice that though. But if you do one thing that makes you stand out from everybody, just one moment, like you had that moment that makes you stand out, everybody's going to remember that. And then once they came out with the scouting reports from that camp, and mind you, this is the first game. We played 4 other games. I had like maybe 2 dunks the whole rest of the camp, but I had like 3.5 dunks in the first 10 minutes of the camp. I had like 2 dunks the whole rest of the camp, 3 more games. When the scouting reports came out, one of the lines, when it asked about my strengths, it said, explosive guard. It said, we'll drive and attack and finish with dunks in traffic. We'll finish and dunk in traffic. And that line, like, I was so happy when I seen that because I was like, yo, I'm going to show this to everybody. I'm going to post it on my blog. Because back then, all I had was a blog. I didn't even have it. It wasn't no DreAllDay.com back then. I had a blog called DrePaperwork.blogspot.com. It's not out no more, so don't you go try to look it up. But I posted that up on my blog, and I shared that link with like every agent that I emailed. I was showing them that link, and they was all showing me respect because they seen that scouting report. Like, all right, this dude must actually be able to play. It said, "Will finish and dunk in traffic," because that was my calling card, being athletic. So that was like huge for me. So that was the story of my first pro camp. What happened from there is I used the link from that camp and the video, because I got the video from that camp. It was a VHS tape back then. For those of you who don't know what that was, you don't even know what it is. But anyway, I got the VHS transferred onto a CD, put the CD on a computer, put that video file on this new website that held videos called YouTube. That was my first YouTube video, and that video is still out. If I remember, I'm going to put an annotation on this video so you can actually see that video if you haven't seen it before, and you'll see the clips from that camp when I actually got those dunks. And I used that video to contact a whole bunch of agents. I contacted like 50 agents. One agent took interest. I signed with that agent. He got me my first deal, which was in Lithuania. He also got me my second gig, which was with this team called the Harlem Ambassadors. And I started working with him after that. But my first 2 gigs came from that agent, and that agent came from that camp. And the reason I did good at that camp came from those dunks. So that was the story of my first pro exposure camp. Work on your game, DreAllDay.com. Thanks for checking out this video. Make sure you follow all my top content up here. Follow me on all your favorite social networks right over here, and make sure you are subscribed to catch all the new content I put on this channel every single day. Work on your game.